it's always a very happy occasion for me and my staff to come to a community where that has confirmed your involvement and participation in the campaign that we are undertaking throughout Fiji at the moment. But firstly, I want to really thank you for the opportunity for me to be here and meet with you, because this is a directive from our Prime Minister that we must always come to the community and meet with the community. You know, wherever you are, be it here or wherever else. I will be in the opening of the bar, of the bridge, and also with the Minister of Health. Wherever we are, we must ourselves come and meet with you. And I was so happy to meet. I like to come to a small group like this because it makes it so intimate. You know, I get to meet every one of you, and it was really a very happy occasion for me this morning to meet with each one of you. Although some of you have come from Litasiri and from Nandronga, but coming here and to be in a settlement. To meet with you, I really, on behalf of government, thank you very much for this opportunity. Now, for us women, there are many of us women here. Just a bit of a background on us. Since 1949, the women globally in the other big countries of the world, they have been meeting, forming women's groups and advocating for women's rights. Women's right to have a fulfilling life, and also our right to be free, to do whatever we like in our during our lifespan, and be able to contribute to the national development. Now, we women have been in the priority agenda of a lot of organizations globally, international organizations. I think you've all heard of the United Nations, UN. Whenever there is a meeting of the UN, the women's empowerment is always on the agenda. Because as Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General for the UN, once said, he says that when you develop a woman, when you change a woman, you educate a woman, you change her family. Because we women have a lot of influence in our family. You change when you educate and change and involve women's groups into the development of a nation. The whole nation will change, because any change that is to be made has to be from within ourselves first, and how we change our community, our family members, to change for the better. To change means we don't all need to change. Change means progressing from where we are to something better. So from the situation that we were in the last year, in the early this year, by this time we should be moving upwards. We should be progressing. That is the change that I'm talking about. And I know that you have heard about gender equality, that we are the UN and all other international organizations, our government, and all our women's groups here in Fiji, our umbrella groups, we are all advocating for gender equality. So what is gender equality? It does not really mean that we need to be on equal basis with the men. We can never be on equal terms with the men, because God created the men to be stronger than us. And we were created from our men, from his rib. Every man in this world has a missing rib, because that rib was used to create the woman. We were not created from above, from his head, so that we can be above men, or from the bone of his feet, so they can men can stand on us. But we were created from their ribs, so that we can be sitting side by side, and that is where gender equality is. Gender equality also does not mean that we, or the empowerment of women within the gender equality, empowerment of women does not mean that we must empower ourselves to be more powerful than the men. You know, I went to the Solomons at one time, and we were talking about this gender, gender empowerment or empowerment of women. And the Solomon men got up and said, "Oh, so you women want to be more powerful than us?" I said, "No, we can never be more powerful than you." And for us women, we all know that in our family situation, our husbands always heads the family. And we are there to help our husband. I think the only thing that we want, or that we really is needed in our family life, is that the husband must also take in consideration, communicate, consult with his wife when they are discussing the changes to develop or to improve the livelihood of their family. Right? So, and gender equality also, I can describe it even better, is that when men and women are able to work together. I know that you will go through certain trainings, gender trainings, and then you will begin to realize what gender really means, and how gender addresses someone having power, or man having power over a woman. Men should not be having power over women, but they should be on equal terms, working together. Now, it's always a wonderful thing for men and women to work together. In my home, my husband was the minister in the SDL government. So I used to be home as the minister's wife, doing all the responsibilities of a minister's wife. But now that I'm a minister, he is home and he's doing all the work of the minister's wife, supporting me. You will have heard that I've been traveling a lot throughout the nation, but without his support, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So he does all the work at home, washing, ironing, cooking, and in the evenings after dinner, he's used to collecting all the dishes and go and wash them. You know. So when he collects all the dishes to go and wash, I'll bring the tea towel so that when he washes, I dry. And so he's washing and I'm drying. But there's one thing I notice when I'm standing there looking, watching. Oh wow, those dishes are really sparkling clean, you know, nicely soaped and washed so nicely because I'm looking. And after the dishes and I'm drying, he will carry on and even wash the dish rack. He couldn't even do it in the morning when I'm away, but he waited until I come and be watching him. Then he washed the dish rack, be washing the dish rack, and he'll be wiping all the sink, and I'm just standing there watching. I'm tired, you know, I want to go and sit down, but he's just showing off, I think. And from the sink, then when he starts to clean the louvers as well, at that time after dinner, now this is too much. I quickly go and sit in the sitting room, and in a few seconds he's back with me in the sitting room as well. So he was only just showing off to me because I was watching him. It's so beautiful when husband and wife work together. And even with you ladies, and I've always talked about farmers, you know, where they have land, the men, when they go out to farm, they can go for 1 hour. After 1 hour, 2 hours, they are back. But if they take their wives with them, wow, when the wife is watching, he will flex his muscles and till the land, and, you know, just not enough land to dig up because he's showing off to his wife. And these are some of the opportunities that we are missing out on when we don't work together at home. And that is gender equality, working together with men at home at a personal family level, and even at the organizational level, men and women together, even in the leadership level. You know, in Parliament, for instance, you know, men and women must work together, and only then that can be more productive. There was a study made on business houses. And this was in Asia. And they found in business houses where only the men worked, or where only the women worked, they look at these two, and they look at business houses where men and women work. They found that where men and women work, they were more productive. And they achieve much better than when they are working differently. Why? Because they're just showing off to each other, isn't it? So when you are enjoying working together, you tend to be more productive. You are more energized, and you enjoy what you are doing. And this is gender equality. And I know that men keep questioning, why is it that you keep advocating for women's rights? What about men's rights? We men have our rights too. Yeah. And then I said, you should not question men's rights. Men's rights are there, intact, and being practiced daily. But it's the women, we also have our right to be productive. We also have our right to be able to do whatever, be free to do whatever we want, be free to go to the hospital when we are sick. You know, sometimes when the whole family is sick, the husband goes first, and then the children will go, and if there's some more money left, then the women will go. Otherwise, we'll stay home and take whatever herbs there are available to us. But we have the right to also access health services. We have the right for education. We have the right, to be productive and also to have a fulfilling life, as I was saying. When I describe the right, we've got this event here this morning, and you're all here. Why is there so many women here and not very few men? Only because the Minister for Women is coming. If we had another minister, supposing the Prime Minister comes here, you won't see the women here. All this place will be full of men, isn't it, Ratu? All the men here. Why? Because they say it is their right to be here to meet with all these important people in government, and not the women. So I think that's why I have to go around and be the Minister for Women, so that the women can also come and meet and attend meetings like this. So men's rights are fully intact, all right? And if there's an argument in that house down there, there's a fight between the husband and wife, I hope that from today, the commitment is no more fight there. If there's a fight between husband and wife, it's the man that will stay in the home, it's the wife that is told to move. Isn't it? And the men are holding on to their right to property, their right to live in that house. And also, if there's land here available, or the title of the property that you have around here, the title is written under whose name? In the man's name. Well, there should be a woman's name in the title as well. But don't worry, women, there is a family law bill that even though your name is not in the title, you still are entitled to half the value of that property. Even though your name is not in there, that our women have ensured that, because a lot of men, because they are working, the title of the land is written under their name only and not the wife's name. And we, because we are uneducated, we stay at home, we just listen to our men, so we let it go. But you must remember that under the Family Law Act or the Family Law Bill, men and women have 50% entitlement to that property. So the men again will hold on to their right. Their right is is intact. It's inherent in our daily living. And even when we are pregnant to our babies, our children, they are registered under who? Registered under the father's name, isn't it? They carry their father's surname. I'm not against that. I'm carrying my father's surname as well. But what I'm just saying is that men's rights are intact, and they should not question why is it that we continue to talk about women's rights. All right? So, men, your right is intact. Women, we need to also come out and also be recognized as a human being that have a right to live a fulfilling life and survive in this in our lifetime. So I'm really grateful, and we really appreciate that we are coming today to to confirm your commitment to this campaign that we're doing, because the elimination of violence against women is fundamental to development. When a woman is being violated, be it physical, mental, or verbal, it is weakening to us, isn't it? It's very demeaning when a woman continues to be violated at home, to be abused at home, abused verbally or even physically at home. It takes a lot of energy out of us, isn't it? When we want to be resourceful, we cannot. We don't have that confidence, because we lose confidence when we are abused, and this is why we have gone through 4 international conferences for women globally. There have been 4 international conferences for women that is attended by women, not for men. Why is this happening? It's because women need to stand up and be heard in the global arena and also national arena. And what do? Thousands of women will go together to meet. The last one was in Beijing in 1995. All the women representatives from all countries of the world went there to meet. Meet to do what? Meet to share experiences back home. I will go there. I can share experiences of how the women are being treated in this country. So we share experiences from our own countries, and then we put together a program of action so that all the women, the whole world will be working together to achieve that program of action. And this is why you will see that although Fiji is mounting a campaign for elimination of violence against women, every country in the world is doing the same. And because this is an item in the program of action that was discussed in Beijing. This is why these international conferences are very important. There are so many things that are happening. They are also we women need to be well represented in leadership, at leadership levels. That is another agenda in that program of action. And come to Fiji, we have a women's plan of action, that we are implementing. And that women's plan of action is based on the program of action that was discussed in Beijing. And this is why it is discussed in Beijing, it comes to Fiji, and it trickles down to community level or to your group level. Now, we are fortunate that this government is taking very seriously, and this government is joining other governments globally in taking seriously the development of women, the empowerment of women, gender equality, empowerment of women. And this is why empowerment means not power, but to have the women would have the capacity to be resourceful, to use your talent, their potential, so that you can be economically empowered, to have your own purse, yes, to have your own purse with your own money, empowerment with education, so that you are more knowledgeable, that you go to school and be educated, either in school or also within your women's group. Now that you have your group together and you will meet in a certain place, which is here, because you have this women's group, if there is anything that you are ignorant about, you can always invite the experts to come in, do a training here for you, to empower you. Empowerment means to be educated, well educated, to have the means to use your talent, to be resourceful. Empowerment means having your own purse. Empowerment means to be healthy, that you are able to access health facilities, health services whenever you want. That is empowerment. So that when it came to our government, under the Women's Plan of Action, we put down a program of action for Fiji. We need to do all the things that was discussed in Beijing. And up to 2008, government was allocating $200,000. Up to 2007. 2008, they were able to increase it to $300,000 for women's activities. Now, this year was the first time the government continued to increase the budget towards the Department of Women, and this year government allocated more than $1 million, $1,010,000. So what is evidence of this budget? The evidence is here today. If we didn't have that money, we wouldn't be able to come here. If we didn't have that money, we wouldn't be able to mount this campaign on the elimination of violence against women. We would not have been able to address it fully so that the whole nation, gets involved in this campaign. And that is where the money is going. Now, from our ministry, there are few major projects that we have in place at the moment. One major one is the distribution of sewing machines. I don't know whether you have your sewing machines yet or no. Do you have sewing machines? You have to have a women's group, and you have to have at least 15 to 20 members, and we'll be able to give you your sewing machines. What is the idea behind the sewing machines? Believe me, if I have a map of Fiji here right now, and I put a green pin on every women's group that has received 2 sewing machines, the whole of Fiji, that map would have been covered, right now covered with these green pins. Because we have distributed sewing machines to 1,300 women's groups. All the villages, from Nandronga, we have just a few villages to go. From Naitasiri, all the villages in Naitasiri complete, Tailevu complete, even Bua, Madhuata, the Kaundrave, not only villages, also settlements, the Indo-Fijian women's groups there, different from the different religious groups, they all have received 2 sewing machines. So this project of sewing machines is something that has touched almost every woman in this country, every woman's group in this country. Now that is one major project, and that really is being used for the economic empowerment of women. The other major project is the construction of women's resource centers. We are constructing women's resource centers because we know, even here in your settlement, if you form a women's group, where will you meet? That is always the question, huh? Where will you meet? Thank these ladies here that they are making this place available for you to come and meet. Where will you meet? Even in the villages, where do they meet? They go and meet in the president's house. Although they have a meeting house in the village, but the men are always the boss of that meeting house. So right now we are constructing extensions to existing meeting house that belongs only to the women. And we have already constructed about 45 of such resource centers for women in this country. And for next year, government has allocated an additional $130,000 for construction of women's centers, resource centers only. And we're giving $5,000 worth of materials to anyone. And I'm telling you, your women's group, wherever you need it, in the villages or wherever, we will give you $5,000 worth of building materials. And your men will construct, unless women can do the construction. You see, this is where the gender equality comes in. We women are not able to achieve what we want without the support of the men. The men must support us for us to move on, to really be successful in what we do. So women's resource centers are being constructed throughout Fiji. And we hope that as many women's groups that have received sewing machines, we would like to have as many women's groups that have women's resource centers. Because once they have that center, they can have the sewing machines inside. When the women want training, they have a place to go. When the women want training in other areas, we've got the health people here. You have a place to go. So government has been very generous to the women, recognizing the important role that we women can play in development of this nation. And this campaign on zero tolerance of violence against women is our third very major program within the ministry. Right now, we've got almost 60 communities in this country that are either committed or have declared zero tolerance of violence against women. So after today, we'll be giving you your certificate. You will be included in that statistics. And this afternoon, Koronumbu will be included in it. So almost every week, there have been additional communities that are coming on board and are joining us, partnering with us, and in our effort to completely eliminate violence against women and children in this country. We can do it, can't we? And we can do it with a commitment of your gatekeepers committee. When we went to New York in February this year, we meet every year to look at the program of action. Now you can link it up. Program of action that was developed in Beijing, and it was given to all the countries in the world, for them to implement. And then every year in February, we meet again because everybody wants to hear how each country has progressed in the implementation of that program of action, and always one theme at a time. So in February this year, the theme was the elimination of violence against women and children. So when all the representatives of countries started giving their reports, when I gave the Fiji report, I tell you, I got standing ovation. People and women stood up and applauded my presentation, because our approach was a bit different from their approach. Our approach of having this campaign and establishing it and giving it to the community so that the community takes ownership of that project, that is the approach that we are doing that is different from the others. The fact that we are forming gatekeepers committee are present here in your settlement, and they keep the gates of the settlement. They will be the ones that will be looking to see that the people that have been the cause perpetrators of domestic violence, they need to address them and also get them to undergo the training, the counseling that we will be providing under this campaign. You have the gatekeepers committee that are here. We can come and do the training, awareness, and we leave. And what happens? You go back to square one, isn't it? If nobody is committed in your settlement. But when you have your gatekeepers committee, the onus is on them. You have a huge responsibility in your hands, gatekeepers committee, because the success of this campaign is in your hands. And this is why I had a standing ovation, because it was a different approach from the others. And we are bringing that approach right here to your settlement. And I would like to thank the Gatekeepers Committee, for their commitment to this campaign. Now, Gatekeepers Committee, you must remember that you must be friendly to everybody. You must make yourselves known to everybody in your settlement. Men, women, and children must readily be able to say hello to you when you walk past. They must readily be able to talk to you when you walk past. And only then is indication that you are friendly enough for the people in your settlement to approach the Gatekeepers Committee. Now, you know of the law that is in place. It is a crime for a man to abuse his wife, or a woman, or a child. It is a crime. And if it is reported to the police, there's one-drop policy. I think the police person here. No-drop policy. Before the Fijian culture, the men will go and give the tambua and ask for forgiveness, and they forgive each other, and they're back to square one. Everything becomes normal again. But with this law, no more of that tambua, no more, because once it gets to the police will come and take the perpetrator straight to the cell. But sometimes we all know there's always differences in our families. Sometimes there is a fight. Next morning it's all good again, all rosy again, isn't it? But at the heat of the moment, the woman might just call up the police. If the police is called up, he will come and take your husband straight into or the man straight into the cell. And what happens to the family? That is always the question in your mind, right? So this is why, as a mediating group, we have your gatekeepers committee. If your husband or a man is abusing you, go and approach the gatekeepers committee, who will get together and will go and try to mediate between the victim and the perpetrator before it reaches the police. Also the children. Any violence against any child is against the law. So that any child that gets a hiding from the father or mother, they can easily go to the police, and the police will come and take father or mother. All right? And the child will not understand the impact of what he has done going to the police. So before going to the police, go to the gatekeepers committee. And the gatekeepers committee will come and mediate, in the family before it reaches the police. However, if the abuse is such that it may cause physical, that may cause death even, right? Trauma, physical trauma. You're physically, you're physically abused so that, you are, how do you say it? Yeah, not only hurt. Injured, that it may cause injury. If the abuse is such that it will cause injury and even lead to hospitalization and even lead to death in some cases, then the onus is on you to report. You should know the level of injury, the level of trauma that is being experienced, that it should go to the police. But I'm talking negative. The happy thing is that you are now part of the campaign. You will all be holding hands, work in partnership, working together to protect each other. You will all be there to be protecting each other so that there will be no more violence in your community. And believe me, when there's no violence in the community, automatically the crime rate also drops because people in the community become more responsible. People in the community become aware that there's a law that forbids violence, and even crime will cause some abuse somehow. All right? So that these two work together. And that is the good thing. I hope that you will go through the other different phases of preparations so that in the next few months, at one time I'll be coming back here again. And when I'm talking to you, you won't be looking at me like that. You'll be smiling and happy. Because this community has started a life of happiness. Not only happiness with men and women, also with everything that surrounds you. Even the flowers will will be more glorious and also animals, dogs will be wagging their tails at everybody and not barking. They'll be happy. So the community will be happy. So that from today, there is an aura around your community as from today. With the gatekeepers there, they are looking. And not only gatekeepers, you members of the community yourselves, if you find that there's some violence somewhere, then you report to the gatekeepers committee. Okay? So I think I have, this morning I just wanted to share with you the importance of this campaign. This campaign will accompany some economic empowerment projects. You tell me that you don't have machines. We will bring you machines, right? As long as you've given your request to, what's it, to Steri, eh? Tulia. As long as you give your request to Tulia, and we'll be able to give you machines.